You're watching Understanding Bigfoot. Why understand Bigfoot? Because we know they're real. Now, let's start understanding Bigfoot with your host, Mike Scott.
Thank you, Sean Seaball. Folks, welcome to another episode of Understanding Bigfoot. Mike Scott with you, coming to you from the ice cold Cape Girardeau, Missouri, southeast Missouri. We currently are blanketed by about an inch or two of sleet right now. Our producer, Sean Seaball, here in Cape as well, is going through the same thing. And Susan Perez is joining us tonight. Susan is another Cape resident. She is the director of the CMO Bigfoot Encrypted Research Group Facebook page, CMO standing for Southeast Missouri. And of course, Becky Pepper is with us from Nocona, Texas. And ladies, welcome to the program.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And I tell you what, I am as excited about this program as I am anyone we've ever done. Uh, Barry Webster is with us tonight.
Down there.
And Barry is from Nebraska. And people normally wouldn't think of Nebraska as being a hot Sasquatch state, but they're all over, as we know. And Barry is also a member of Omaha Nation, the Omaha tribe with Omaha Nation, and runs the Facebook group Rez Squatching Community. That's REZ Squatching Community, and has got just a lifetime of interactions. And Sitonga, I believe, is what the Omaha refer to Sasquatch or Bigfoot as. Sitonga. Barry, it's a pleasure to have you on the program. Looking forward to the conversation.
Welcome.
Welcome, Barry.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. It's a pleasure and an honor.
No problem. So, Barry, we've talked about this. You and I talked on the phone, and I've followed your page for about a year now, and you've been so gracious to allow us, when our programs get released on YouTube, to post them on your Facebook page as well for your people to see our programs. So a lot of your page members are familiar with us, and but as we get folks on to just tell their stories, share their experiences, and being a member of the Omaha tribe, we know the Native Americans have gone back centuries with the relationship with the Sasquatch people. So you probably grew up with it. Tell us how all this got started for you.
Well, it got started as a young boy. I always and I'll keep the script the same. I probably knew about Situnga before um, Batman and Robin. Most kids grow up with their superheroes. Um,
Right.
But to compare that, you know, just to compare contrast, it's basically woven into our culture, that relationship. So we kind of almost laugh at folks, when they try to go Hollywood with it, and they use all these gadgets when we know for a fact that that doesn't work.
We laugh at them too, Barry. the, the, we talked. I, um, the, the programs in Hollywood and stuff like that has portrayed Bigfoot as a monster. They go out in the woods at night yelling and making noise and things like that. Um, but tell us some of the differences. You grew up with it. How were you taught? What did you find that worked? Tell us how the folks in eastern Nebraska do this stuff.
Well, I think for my people, it, I think that our group, has has reconnected with them, based on, some of our beliefs and the relationship, we've had, and including the coexistence. Um, I call it the three pillars of res squatching, and that is respect. We were fortunate enough that they know our language, so we were really, I don't know if we were surprised, but we've used respect, our language, and prayer, as the three pillars that, for us, that's been the $1 million question, and the $1 million answer to some of the encounters, some of the experiences we've had. So
So when you say
all my
language,
life,
you talking English?
no, I'm talking about our language, our Omaha language.
Okay, okay. Omaha. Okay, the
Maha.
Omaha.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
we Caucasians call this Omaha, but it's Omaha. All right.
yeah.
So so they understand that. Um, the you would think they would. I'm assuming if they would understand the Omaha, they probably would understand just about anybody's language. Susan has a lot of Cherokee in her, and she can speak a lot of Cherokee. I assume they would understand that, or even Becky and my broken English. Any thoughts on that?
Now, was that directed towards me?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. It's
I
kind
mean,
of
do you think they're
we're
just exclusive to the Omaha, or they could probably, whatever region they're in, they could probably understand the human interaction?
yeah. Well, I think it's universal now that everybody understands they're everywhere. So, and more importantly, I think what every tribe has their oral history. And so, Susan, I have to believe that they understand your Cherokee language also, you know. So it's not just exclusive to the Umaha. It's to every tribe has their oral history. And I to continue on, I think it's one of those deals where every tribe had their own beliefs about them. And I know my tribe, we view him as Hubei, or we hold him in high esteem. Hubei means, in my language, it means holy or sacred. So we don't do that nonsense. We show them respect.
So when you say respect, you're talking no, don't try to mimic, no tree knocking, no. Um, what are some of the examples you're talking about there when you're saying show them respect?
Well, I think a lot of it you're right about, you know, not trying to mimic their world. I think we talk Omaha and we pray. That's one way of showing respect for them. Um, I think the worst thing you could probably do, is probably just approach them in a cold way and start banging on trees. Now, granted, it means respect means a lot of different things, but I think it's the approach. It's all in the approach and how you show them respect. It's you don't holler. You don't obviously abuse them, verbally abuse them. So it could mean a lot of things.
When you
When
approach an
you
area,
oh,
when you approach an area, do you announce yourself?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Um, Aho kage, aku ge gashka jiton, ahi sabe ati. That's an approach. That's probably my normal approach.
Cool. Feel free to jump in here, Susan.
What
What I
was
was,
that you just said?
oh,
Just a greeting?
Oh, translate. Yeah,
Yeah,
translate the greeting.
yeah. What I said is, we come in peace. We mean you no harm. It's Blackwing. I'm here. That's my Indian name.
Okay.
Okay.
do they respond verbally to you, or so many people say that they will do a grunt, which is actually a greeting. Is there a
Yeah,
response when you say that?
yeah. I can say that's happened. I think for the most part, with ours, I haven't. Go ahead. A lot of it's just in the way they approach. You know, um, I think I would challenge any group to go and here's my competitiveness coming out again, there, Mike. To get eye shine, live eye shine. I know you've seen that, Mike.
Yes. I've I've actually have seen the eye shine once because normally um, because normally I'm not dealing with lights, but I did see the eye shine not too recent, a couple of months ago with a fire glow. But go ahead and elaborate.
You broke up there a little bit, Mike.
I said I saw it a couple of months ago with the fire glow, but go ahead and elaborate on seeing the eye shine, what you're going to talk about.
Well, I think unless you've had some prior experience, you really have to have you know knowing that's them. And I'm not going to sit here and try to convince anybody. What I will say is that we believe, as the term changes from um, sentinel to the watchers, we believe we've developed a relationship in an area where they will meet us as soon as we pull up. They're looking and watching us, and we've been able to interact with those two, or those four really. There ends up being four that come out to meet us. So it's really, even after all these years, it's still amazing, to know that that's happening. So
Now, you've been doing this for some time, and you've been going to the same area for some time. Have the sentinels have they changed as they mature and get older? Do they pass that on to a younger generation, or is it just roughly the same one for the period of years?
I have to. I don't know that you've made that statement as a statement of this is what they do, but I think they do change. I probably over the years watched, and it's hard to keep track, but I bet I've watched maybe four juveniles, maybe four um, sets, I should say, grow up, with that eye shine. Um, a lot of times they'll travel through the trees like monkeys. So I've watched maybe
Right.
three sets of those grow up before my eyes.
So
And
through the
so, yeah,
treetops.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I think you're that's correct when I when I say that they change, and they train the young ones to grow up. They're pretty unique people, you know,
I
in that
find
they
them
train
I find them highly disciplined.
them. Yeah.
Jump in here, Becky.
Well, I'm just listening, trying to follow along. So you say where Can you tell me about where you see these families? Do you have property? You know, like is there an area you go to, or you don't have to give me a location, but just um, you've been doing this for a while now.
Yeah, I, without knowing it, and I'll say this, that there's inspiration that goes on, and that's kind of deep spiritual stuff. And I don't proclaim to be a medium by no means. I'm guided by the Holy Spirit and wherever God, leads me. And by saying that, I've been inspired to actually establish some hot spots. And I had no idea, you know, how that happened, other than, through inspiration. But yes, we probably have maybe four or five. Um, for example, when people come up to one of our events, um, that's the first place we go. We go to those five spots, and we we've been crazy enough to even say this is level two, this is level three, and level five is pretty extreme.
Mm. So
So
level
yeah,
five's pretty hot.
Speaking
Have
of
you ever
events, oh, go ahead, Susan. Go ahead. We'll
no,
get to the
I'm
event in a
sorry.
second.
I was
Go
just
ahead.
wondering, have you, when you first began your research, did you experience any negative, any infrasound or anything that maybe led you to believe they weren't friendly, or from the very beginning, did you have a good rapport with them?
you know, as a group, I had I've had some people who probably weren't, in the right state of mind, but who wanted to do it so bad with us that they were hiding maybe some of the things they shouldn't be doing. Now, I'm one of those uh, firm believers that you have to be in the right state of mind,
Right.
and it took us a while to figure out that some individuals were on drugs or using, you know, and I noticed that sometimes it was aggressive. They were aggressive. They probably didn't want those individuals around. Um, so it, boots on the ground, teaches you a lot about squatching. You just have to be out there, and but for the most part, I think mine have been very, I would say, very calm. I have team members who've had some, and I dealt with the bluff charge one time when one of our team members, was in the middle of something in her life, and that was pretty interesting, to say the least. It was. I heard the stomping. I heard this hoof, this huffing noise. So I've been zapped myself, and so I'm not you know totally proud of all that, but yeah, we kind of had to experience some of that stuff firsthand, and to learn, how to approach them, and how the things we should do versus the things we shouldn't do. So, but for the most part, I don't know who asked this question, Susan or Becky, but for the most part today, I can tell you that from 41 different states, people have squatched with me, and it's just been amazing. Been very calm, very uh, just beautiful out there is the best way to describe it.
That's
So I don't deal with a lot of aggression anymore.
that's
Well,
great.
if you haven't had a Missourian in those 41 states, I would love to sometime in the near future make number 42. But you have an event coming up, um, and tell us a little bit about that event, and then we want to talk some more about some of the native Omaha relations with the forest people. So tell us about the event.
Well, I think, and I don't want to, I do stand corrected, but I think it's the third week in February. We're putting on what we would call a tour, Res Squatching Research Tour. Um, Tour means is you're checking an area, you're in an area, and so that's kind of what we decided on the name. So on the third weekend, I don't even have a calendar in front of me, but um, we do have some spots left. So if you can make it, or anybody listening, or if this gets out in time, please give me a call.
We'll figure it out,
We
and I will direct them. I'll post on the release, and we will put in the comments and so forth how to get in touch with you via the Facebook page, Res Squatching on
you
that.
bet,
And if anybody,
you bet.
of course, now the third week in February in Nebraska, you might want to pack your snowshoes. Correct?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. Well,
We have
let me
our
add
snow.
something. Let me add something because we are honoring one of our team members who passed away day after Christmas. So we're doing that event in his honor, and his name was Terry Overtime Pedraza. So he left us for the spirit world, and we're going to try to get together and honor him, and just have a good time
That's
in his
great.
name.
Sorry for your loss.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, we hope that one turns out great. Let's talk about um, being being with the Omaha tribe. How old were you when you first had your first interaction with the Satanga?
I was working for a summer program with the tribe, and we had probably had 20, 25 youth out there, and me being 19 and one of the team leaders. We were cutting a bean field, and out of out of nowhere, um, this big, I would say a howl or a growl. I couldn't tell you the difference between the two, but about 30 yards from us in the tree line, um, this actually hurt your ears. That's how loud it was. That would probably have been my first encounter with at the time I was off and on. I wasn't really into investigating or squatching, so to speak. But I remember hearing that, and everybody there got scared, and we basically started to run. Everybody just frantically took off, dropped your knives, and we were cutting beans. So there was 30 people running towards town, and we all kind of laugh about it today. But that would have probably been my legitimate experience, hearing one of my
Wow.
first legitimate experiences, and still impacted me today. I mean, we can sit here and probably try and imagine it, but I remember it like it was yesterday, and that sends chills down your spine, you know,
Oh yeah.
when you
Yeah.
experience that. So
And when was your first sighting? When was the first time you had a good visual?
I was uh, I was coaching volleyball, girls volleyball, um, high school girls volleyball, and we were driving down what we call the bottom road, and I made the turn, and I turned to the right, and as I turned, there was a bunch of deer close to the road, and that just was unusual. And I went down the road probably a quarter of a mile, and we heard. I had my window halfway down, and I had a flashlight, and we went past we went past this driveway into a field, and I could maybe, as I describe it, I could feel something to the left, and I'm talking about 75 yards from me. And then I had a flashlight, and I pointed my flashlight to the field where I saw this dark figure. It was dark out, but I could still see the dark figure. And I lit him up, and sure enough, his eye shine just boom beamed off, and so that was probably my first real sighting of one. And I bet he was easy 9 foot tall. He was kind of orangutan red,
Okay.
orangish red. So that was my first kind of didn't really want to see something like that experience, you know?
What color were the eyes in the shine?
Huh?
What color were the eyes in the shine? The eye shine color?
Okay, you broke up a
Did
little bit.
did you notice the eye shine color?
He, he asked what color were the eyes.
And I
Barry, um, I was inquiring about the eye shine color.
Oh, okay, the eye shine color. Now I can hear you.
Okay.
It was more white.
Okay.
White. I could tell. It was beaming or radiating, and that was very interesting to me because I knew by the shape and the upright figure that that was no deer. And as I
Yeah.
lit him up, I could see the side of his body and him turning, looking at me. So
mm,
that really, I would say, solidified the truth for me, and I knew that I was going to go and search
I think it's
soon. You know,
downstairs. Yeah. I'm very fascinated by your statement that you have prayed with them. Do they seem to realize Christianity or God or Jesus, or do they have their own um, spirituality?
you know, I to this day, and I remember when somebody said you guys should get a Facebook page. That was almost like a dare, because we didn't want to do that. We didn't. That just wasn't us. We didn't understand Facebook, when it first came out.
Mhm.
But I can tell you this that I never thought I would be talking like this. It was almost like um, it was our maybe secret. But I can tell you that uh, they sure do understand, the power of prayer. In fact,
Oh,
I've been able to pray. That's probably one of the things I do, and I've had some amazing encounters. I can tell you some things that I've never heard any other researcher explain about them physically. Some of the features, some of the things that I've experienced.
Go
I'm a
ahead.
little competitive.
Would
I'm a
love to
little
hear it.
competitive, Susan.
Go
That's okay.
ahead. We want to. That's what we're
I
here
named.
for.
We're here to
I,
learn.
all right. Well, you got to bring it out of me now.
Yeah.
Well, here here's some of the things that I was able to witness with some face-to-face encounters. Um, I named one Stevie Wonder because of his head movement. His
Okay.
head was going back and forth when he stepped out on the bank, and he had it wasn't symmetrical or a pattern, but he had lights on his upper chest all over his body. And to me that was almost what I would call uh, I'm not saying they're aliens, but there was something different about that. Why he had the they weren't perfectly sized, every one of them. They were different sizes, but he had lights on him, and I thought that was really interesting. And then this guy, um, and this is guy talk. I always call Stevie Wonder a badass dude because that's exactly what he was. He he was almost pretty. His his hair, it bounced. He was very clean. He had a human-like face, almost like a man. That just blew me away. So incredible, incredible experience. I put that one in my top three.
Okay. Very interesting. So, if you pray with them, what are they doing while you're praying?
That's what I was
You
just
know,
about to ask.
you know,
Great minds.
Yeah.
was that Susan? Susan, did you
Yeah.
ask that question?
Yes, sir. Yes.
He came at me with this, like he he was very standoffish, and all I could do as I invited my brother to join me on the right side as we were facing him, all I could do was tell him, "Can I pray with you?" And he just kept looking at me, and that was a look of death. That thing could have ripped my head off any second if he wanted to. And I asked him to pray. As soon as my brother got on the right side of me, I started my prayer. And when he got done, and I have to say this because it was almost um, I used to deal and interact with his dad, and something happened to his dad, which we named Ishage, oh man. And so it was almost like he was sent to come and meet me. And when he first came out, he was posturing, he was down, almost looked like the Conan the Barbarian. You see him in that posturing stance. That was cool. That was really cool. And it was almost like he said, "Well, here you are. Now show me what you do." And after I got done praying with him, his head went from like this to just a real little roll like this, like he was impressed with that prayer. And I could feel the Holy Spirit there. And we ended up walking away, but he was very calm. I didn't feel, this flight feeling, it was very calm. And to boot, he had a female come out with him. Now that was, if seeing a 9 foot Bigfoot wasn't mind blowing, then to see a female come out, that that was mind blowing, and I'll still say that to this day. So
Did
the
she come
same
out
time,
during the prayer or after the prayer? Or when did she
she
come
she
out?
came out. She came out before the prayer.
Before the prayer. So she participated in the prayer also then.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
How
I
cool.
always think that everything that's out there, God made it. That's just my opinion, that God made all kinds of different creatures and peoples and things like that. And I just always hope they don't want to eat us, but for, on the funny side. But I think it's so impressive to know that they have a consciousness about what we're feeling, our intent, and possibly, like you said, they're they're affected by our prayer and our spirituality. I think that's so cool. I think most people
Oh,
when they interact with them, they don't try and talk to them. And I think that would be well, after I passed out probably, that would hopefully be one of the first things that I tried to do would be to, do exactly what you did and to show them that. I mean, I think it would be the greatest honor in the world. And I don't know. I feel that God made them. There used to be a big space between the UFO people and the Bigfoot people. I've said this before, and I've been to different conferences for both. And now, when you were talking about the lights that were on him, there seems to be people that are referring to anomalies, seeing the Bigfoot and seeing lights or seeing a craft or a light in the sky. So that's really interesting. We don't really know, but they were here way before we were. That's my understanding, because all the Native Americans have a name for this creature or person. What do you think they are? Do you think they're a people, or do you think they're an intelligent animal, or
Well, well, here's what we, prayed about, because that was the whole purpose. We wanted to find the truth out, and what we what came back to me, because the Holy Ghost, remember his role. The Holy Ghost is a revealer of the truth, and and as we asked, there we've always known them to be a people, and that's why we showed them the respect.
right?
So native people, you know, I'm surprised, and you know, it's kind of a, in a way, I lost um, that respect. I Hollywood has done nothing for, the relationship that natives have had, and it's all about, this guy who's special forces and who's trained. And I know I'm kind of harping on that a little bit, but I think it's kind of a little disrespectful to who we are and the relationship we've had. So that's kind of really, um, and I know I'm not trying to get away from the question. You know, we believe that there are people and that they are here till the second coming of Christ. And so very much of people, there was a little issue about, you know and I want to correct something too. One of my relatives said, and I feel like it's fitting. They said, um, did you get Bell palsy because you seen something, out there? And I don't think I understood her question. And I said, oh, okay, because the drumming was going on. And but no, I didn't get Bell palsy by seeing something. Bell palsy just came, you know, earlier than I had an encounter where one actually, you know, did a did a bluff charge, and I stepped in front of him, and I'm a personal trainer, so I partially tore my rotator cuff,
Ooh,
and as I moved, the doctor said you probably during your movement you probably strained it a little more. So I wrote on there that I hurt my shoulder in the left side. And so anyway, that kind of blew up into, maybe you shouldn't be bothering them. When I don't we don't see it as bothering them. We're coexisting, we're paying them respect. So I don't know if I diverted from your question or not, but hopefully that helps.
right. No, I think you answered my question.
Did
I
did
feel that
you
they're a people myself. I feel they're an ancient people. And beyond that, we're still trying to learn and interact with them.
except I'll jump in there, Susan. If they're an ancient, they wouldn't be an ancient people because they're still thriving. They would be,
Right.
since the creation, just like humans or anything else. I would think, but you mentioned the bluff charge.
I know what she's trying to say, though. Yeah.
Okay, you stepped in front of the person being charged. Is that correct? Barry, on the bluff
Mike, I'm
charge,
not hearing.
when we're talking about the bluff charge, did you step in front of the person who was being charged?
Yeah, it was actually one of my relatives, Deej. He really rattled her from the right side, and I stepped in and I told him to knock it off. You know that they were getting a little extreme, and and had you been there, you probably would have been really proud of me.
I would
You know,
have. I would have. I,
I would have seen
I'm
it.
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
in the day that Susan is being bluff charged, I hope I have the guts to do the same for Susan.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
I didn't catch that, but
Now, Mike said he hopes to be able to step in if I'm ever bluff charged, and I went on a
okay,
I went on an
I
expedition.
would pay to see that.
They interact with Mike because he's real tall and they think he's one of them, you know. But I went on a thing in Kentucky with Charlie Raymond, an expedition at night, and that was a couple of years ago. And oh my gosh, it was like a 4 mile thing. I thought I was going to die, but anyway, my children in California sent me an adult diaper just in case I actually saw one and had to have an issue like that. So I always tease and say, I will need that if I actually ever see one.
Yeah,
We have talked about the spiritual aspect of it, that you guys the Omaha have with the Sasquatch, and you referenced that you go out and pray for them, prayed with them. We recorded a program last night. Becky and I did with a gentleman from Indiana, and I think your program may air before his. I'm not exactly sure, but he mentioned to us that he also has prayed for um, the the Sasquatches that came into his area in the camp. And I thought that was kind of neat that we're here within the same week talking about that subject of, kind of the spiritual aspect of things. You and I talked a little bit on the
Right.
phone before we are doing this show. Um, and Susan asked earlier about, where did they come from, or what do you think they are? And and we talked about different theories as part of the human creation. Do you care to elaborate on that? What you told me about Cain in the Old
yeah,
Testament?
yeah. I'll go to a certain extent. Okay, I
Okay.
don't want to let everything out. You know, if that's okay.
Well, we're prying. We're prying. We're trying to get as much info out of you as we can.
I'm I'm just kidding. You know, we've come to a belief in uh, I like this saying, you know, live and let live, you know. But I think there's a difference between, you know, people's spiritual groundedness, you know. I like to think I'm not your local town idiot or clown who's going out there trying to make a name, you know. And I say that because, you know, I am a Christian. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The old name, and some people still say it, is a Mormon. And and the only way you're going to find the truth is to be boots on the ground, you know. And you have to go find out. I'm a firm believer in that. And I know, you know, that they are people that have been cursed to roam this earth. And how do I why do I say that? Because I spent many hours out there praying about the truth. And in fact, I think they have actually came to me because of that truth. I've asked them that. I've had some very face-to-face encounters because of that very question. Now, again, everybody out there, please reference Barry Webster and Res Squatching. Don't take credit for it. Anyway, I have to do that. That's my copyright. You know,
Yes, sir.
I've heard a lot of things that from people. You know that they repeat us. So I have to throw a plug in there, Mike. But we I believe that it is biblical. Um, you know, why would I have such encounters? You know,
Yes.
and majority of the pop well the squatchers, you know, they can't report the same thing. You know, I don't know that I'm trying to convince anybody other than just tell you the truth. You know,
Well, and
um,
that's what we're doing,
you
Barry, for the audience here. We're just trying, the show's understanding Bigfoot, and we're trying to get an understanding of what is out there roaming our forests from one of our native member of the indigenous people of America, yourself. And I'm going to refer to Becky here because Becky is the one of the of us three that's the theologian. She's got the Bible
I
college degree. Um, what do you
well, I
think,
am not
Becky? Let's hear
a
your
marriage
elaboration on that.
theologian. My elaboration on what he
Just
thinks.
the whole the people the
Well,
maybe a reference to
well,
Cain in the Old Testament and so forth.
right. Well, as far as the people, I've talked to some friends that I have that are Native Americans, and I mean, you and I have, Cherokee blood in us
Yeah, we have
too.
Cherokee in us.
Um,
We had Troy Hudson on with Choctaw
yeah,
Nation.
yeah, and I've
Similar
read
type of
read up on some of this,
talks.
right? And so over the years, I've had a few talks with some of my friends I do know, and that they believe that they are a people, and that's the belief that I have taken on over the last couple years, I guess,
Yeah,
last few
agree.
years, since my sighting and since um, doing these shows with you and getting, meeting new people and hearing different encounters and learning, like you said, learning. I'm in this to learn about them. As far as, um, I'm not a theologian. I always say, don't get me involved in any theological discussions.
Too late.
But,
I haven't heard you say that, or else
um,
I wouldn't have said what I said. But
well, no, I have said that. I've said that several
I just thought it
times.
was politics you didn't
Maybe
want
not
to talk
you,
about.
but well, yeah, that too. Um, but I do find it very interesting because I just, you know, I don't know what to think about that. About that, about them being, I think, how did you put it? A cursed people.
From
Barry, is that how you put it?
yeah. Mm.
Right.
I,
Um,
yeah,
but I
that's
do
kind
believe not. I do believe in the Holy Spirit, and
of
I believe in spiritual things. I believe there's a spiritual connection there. I believe that I have it with them, and
Somebody asked me
I believe
earlier
in
in the
what
week.
Barry's
So
saying too about in
yeah,
the people we have in the guests we had on last night about
right.
how they've prayed with them and prayed for
Yeah.
them, and that they could feel it and they know it's real. I do believe that.
Somebody asked me earlier in the week what I thought Sasquatch. What are they? Who are they? And my reply was flesh and blood and something else that we're all trying to figure out. and 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 that's, I think Barry and I talked about that today. I think that's but we certainly appreciate the input that Barry's getting. It certainly gives you something to think about. It gives us something to
right,
think about.
right.
Now, Barry, your brother, was that your brother Derek that was involved in the prayer with you?
Yeah. Yep.
We will get Derek on this program to get his perspective of that as well. We will do a program with Derek down the road here in the near future if he's willing to. I think he'll be willing to come on. Um, and he wanted to come on tonight, but the format wouldn't allow for a fifth person. But that would be great to get another perspective on something like that as well. As we're, you know, like I said, we're trying to understand Bigfoot. So
It's a
um, it's going to be kind of hard to follow that last interaction, talking about the prayer and the female coming out and stuff like that, Barry. But is there another good one you have to share with us before we call it a night?
I could talk your head off, Mike.
Well, give us one more of your favorite encounters, and
You
and
know,
then
I,
we'll.
I had two of my team members with me, and I'll tell you the short version of the juvenile. Um, I was interacting with maybe four or five of them in front of me, about 30 yards, and I remember talking about Jesus to them. And during that time, probably was 30 minutes had passed, and there was a branch to the left of me that came, and at the time it was probably 6 feet from me. By the time I got done, I've noticed this eye shine, and it was probably 3 foot. Um, he actually crawled down that branch and came to the end of the branch to get close to me. And I noticed the ones in front of me were keeping track of me, my every movement. And I finally noticed the juvenile. But Mike, I would tell you and anybody else and anybody who's heard this story, my story don't change. If I would have reached out and said, "Can I hold you?" It probably would have crawled in my arms, Mike, and I probably could have held it. That's how
mm,
beautiful that experience is. I have two team members who would come on this show and tell you the same story. To this day, she tells everybody, So it was just a beautiful thing to see something that small. In fact, he's a grown adult now. From three
Do you
feet
do you
tall to
still
to
do you
now
still
10
interact
footer.
with him?
Yeah. Oh yeah. People that come, I would challenge any one of you to read the testimonies, from people. Um, they'll I'm not sure, their exact encounter, but they they testify of it.
This has been incredible. This is Nebraska, folks. This is not. I mean, you think of your hot spots. You think in Pacific Northwest, Texas, even Missouri, for that matter, as far as the Bigfoot world is concerned. But this is Nebraska, and the native Omaha tribe, and just incredible interactions. Barry, we would be glad to have any of your folks in your group to come on and share. We already talked about getting Derek on the show, um, and to talk about these experiences, because that's, we want people to understand all about the Sasquatch culture, the Satanga culture, as they say up in Nebraska. Um, the this program kind of hits home a little bit with Becky, because Becky's daughter and son-in-law, my niece and nephew-in-law, I guess, or they live in where they live, Lincoln, Becky.
Lincoln.
They
Lincoln.
live in Lincoln and making their home in Lincoln right now. Her
My son is
son
up there too.
her son is up there in college in Nebraska Westland. So, um, so it kind of it all kind of hits home a little bit to the Pepper household, and
It's
it's
me
been
thinking of
fascinating.
some places that I may be able to go look
But
around when I go up there.
Becky will be making more visits to see her daughter for an excuse to go a little bit further north to to see the Websters.
Well, you're more than welcome. Yeah. Hey guys, if we're winding down, Mike, I think you're a friend on Facebook, right?
Do what?
I
I sent you a request today.
Oh, okay.
You
All
didn't
right.
turn me
What?
you didn't turn me down, did you?
No, I didn't.
And we would
Hey,
love to have you join our SEMO Bigfoot encrypted research. We would love to have you do that.
You could provide some great insight.
Right.
The
Right. And I encourage people to comment. We're always trying to educate our group members. We're up to 862 members right now on Facebook. And we start out from just a little speech I gave 5 years ago at a museum trying to fill in for, a historical event. But it's just been fascinating what you had to say. We can't wait to hear more.
you bet. You bet. Well, again, it's been a pleasure. I would love to select one of you um, after the show's over. I would like to share something with you.
when the show is over, and it says that your files have uploaded, and then the show will be officially over. Sean's going to go to bed, but we can stay on and talk. And so that would
Sounds
either
good.
one of us, all four of us. But Sean, of course, Sean doesn't have to go to work tomorrow either, just like me, because we've
Yeah.
got an inch of ice in southeast Missouri. Barry shuts the town down for a week. So, um, but
Yep.
anyway, it's been wonderful having you, and we're gonna get to know the Nebraska folks in your group, and we're looking forward to talking to Derek in the near future and some of the others as well, uh, because I think you guys bring a wealth of knowledge to the table. And somebody a year ago told me you need to check out this Barry Webster and his Facebook page. Um, he would be a good person for you to get to know. And it took about a year to say, hey, to reach out. Well, I got on your page and followed the page, and then it took about a year to reach out and say, hey, we need to talk about this, because so many of our conversations with our guests are coming back to the spiritual aspect of Sasquatch, and and I don't think it's a coincidence that that is happening. That's just my personal belief. I'm open to a lot of, like I said, we're all trying to figure a lot of stuff out past the flesh and blood part. So we're so glad you're here, Barry, and we definitely will get you back on and get Derek back on and some others from your community.
That'd be great.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did have
I,
one question real quick for Barry.
Okay.
Um, I I was up in Nebraska last summer in Hastings, and my son-in-law said he wished I'd had more time. He said something about a Bigfoot museum there. Is there a Bigfoot museum there? Are you familiar with that?
yeah. I've never been there, um, and I'll hold back my comment about it. You
Okay.
know.
Till we're off
So
camera.
yeah.
So you
So
don't know that
yeah.
it
No,
would be
no.
something to
I
really
I
go
have never
visit.
been. I have never been there,
Okay.
and I don't
Okay.
plan on it. Let's just put
Okay.
it that way.
Well, you don't have any need to go.
Well, anyway, that 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 kind of answers that question.
That
So
answers that question.
tell you what, we're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah.
As Barry Webster, up near Macy, Nebraska, I believe, up the Omaha Nation. Folks, thanks for joining us this time. Feel free to talk about it in the comments section on the show. Uh, and once again, I'll post about the upcoming event that Barry has up in Nebraska. That'll be in the comments as well. So pay attention to that. And if you can make that, it'd be great. We'll see you next time on Understanding Bigfoot.